Welcome to the Week 1 postgame show. We are joined by 4 new analysts for the Summer 19 season. And with 14 teams, that means we have 7 games to talk about every week. We're going to focus on the ones that were a little closer, kind of touch on some of the blowouts, and then get some of their first night impressions. First, let's go down the row and meet everybody for the first time this season. You guys saw them at the games, and they conducted the interviews as well. We'll go right down in my order. First, we have Shane. Shane, what's going on?
What's up, Joey? Happy to be on.
Awesome. Happy to have you. Matt, what's up?
What's up, guys? Happy to be here.
Sweet. Fox?
How's it going, guys? Excited.
Good. Christian?
What's up, guys? Great to be on.
All right. So I can't wait to mute Christian, the lone Cowboys fan, hopefully. So we're going to have to take care of that.
It's my brothers. This is my brothers.
That's what they all say. That's what they all say. All right.
I'll show you my closet.
Let's start with the lone overtime game from week 1. On court 1, we had the Werewolves and the Duyes boys, 2 teams from last season. The Werewolves come back, erase a double-digit deficit. I'm pretty sure that's safe to say. And they win by 2 in overtime, 88-86, a huge Dave Campbell three-pointer with about 4 seconds left. What'd you guys see as the Werewolves pulled off that comeback?
So I was definitely impressed with how they were able to kind of come together as a team so much and not be selfish with the ball, get great ball movement, get everyone getting shots up, and just work well together.
Yeah, for sure. And Christian, you were over there as well, right?
Yeah, I was. And I saw about around the 7-minute mark, Heston and Campbell, they really just took over the game. They decided they were going to try and win this themselves. And they were down 15 with 7 minutes left. They started chipping away. They were down 8 with like 2 minutes left. And then Duyes just couldn't make a free throw. They were really struggling. And then Campbell was just nailing shots. And, yeah, they were the ones with the ice in their veins.
Yeah, for sure. And we have the stats up on the screen right now, as you guys can see there. John Kutu, a MVP runner-up from a season ago, 24 points, and he's really the leader of that team. Vincent Volpe obviously doing his thing as well. But it was really Dave Campbell and Brian Heston. Gino 40, 1 for 12 and 1 for 11. Guys, what player – I mean, I know some of the shooting stuff, and even, Brian Heston's always super efficient. Dave Campbell getting 27 shots. We'll go back to Christian and Fox really quick. What stood out, from this box score to you guys in our, lone overtime game, thrilling the whole thing, what Legacy Leagues is all about?
To me, I just thought it was crazy to see Heston and Campbell take that many shots, but still be up around 56% each. I mean, they're both very efficient for the amount of shots they had to take, because I think they had to take them. I think it was their only chance of winning. And, that was impressive. I mean, Gino, I didn't realize it didn't go that well for him last night, but I saw he hit 1 3. I threw it on Snapchat for him.
The lone highlight. Yeah, Fox?
Wasn't pretty.
Wasn't pretty, that's for sure. All right, let's get out of the screen sharing stuff. See if it comes back to me. Maybe. Awesome. All right, so we're going to move on to our next game. And I think the next closest game, I kind of want to get away from court 1, but you guys did all see this game, so we can all share. We've got the Halfway Crooks and the Goodfellas. The Goodfellas come away with a 2-point win. It wasn't after some, dramatic stuff at the end, a shot to win the game for the Halfway Crooks, a free throw to take the lead in the final minute that missed for the Halfway Crooks. Let's go to Matt. I know he was over there. We'll get Matt and Shane in really quick. Matt, what impressed you about Goodfellas, in their first game in the league?
Goodfellas were shooting the lights out for pretty much the duration of the game. Different people, of course. So the player who some call MJ towards the end of the game closed it out for them and was really there in clutch time and hit those critical shots.
For sure. Shane, I know you were over there for the second half of the game anyway. Kind of take us through that closing sequence. And I mean, we were taunting them a little bit. It's hard to make free throws. I think they kind of proved that, right?
Yeah, it is. Obviously, free throws are very pivotal in these close games and when there's a lot of pressure going on in the game. But I really thought Goodfellas, I thought like they had a lot of depth. There was clearly a lot of talent on their side. But, it was a huge win on their part to come away with that. And I thought, obviously, MJ had a really solid game of 21 points, and then Matt Sweeney with 13. And I really thought everyone was able to really contribute on that win.
For sure, and we have the box score up there now. Goodfellas obviously led by MJ Notariani. I guess we'll eventually get these pronunciations right. Even though 5 guys on the scoreboard, only 4. So Zach Marikis not actually in attendance. That's okay. No points. It's only going to mess with his average. He'll be fine. But Dylan Lincoln and myself hit some shots, but not enough down the stretch. I mean, if you guys, anyone else want to jump back in, I know it was a 2-3-point game in the final 2 or 3 minutes. And I can remember, like, I think each of us on the Crooks having a very good 3-point look to kind of tie the game and just not being able to get one to go at the end of regulation.
Yeah, I know. As I was watching, I just thought halfway Crooks were going to pull it out. And as the quote unquote coach of the Goodfellas, I was sitting there a little bit. I was a little bit disgusted with how they tried to close the game there because the door was left wide open. You guys could have easily pulled that away. But yeah, like you said, MJ really played great. Sweeney played great with that putback to win it. It got a little dicey there at the end. How much time was left? A second, no time, a half second. But yeah, that was a close shot at the end. And halfway Crooks, you guys played well for an undermanned team.
Yeah, for sure. And there was definitely time left. I've had worse calls happen. I mean, that was a 3-point shot. I don't know if goaltending, is it not? Whatever.
Yeah.
No one cares. We'll keep it moving.
That was a tight one there.
Tough. It's all right. But, hey, there was definitely time left. We had a shot. What are you going to do? Stampede, Shady Dunkers. So 2 new teams again, back on court 3, 79-70. The Stampede does get the win. Only 5 guys for them. Shady Dunkers rocking, I think, what are my favorite uniforms of the season in some Miami Heat, Miami Vice style going on. But it is the Stampede able to get the win. They had their size for the Stampede, but also they had 2 guys, and one of them was really hitting from deep, right?
Yeah, certainly. I believe number 14 seemed like he was just pulling up, really being able to hit his shots from beyond the arc, and he was also clinical inside the paint.
I thought John Peterson was just so pivotal for them, just being able to – he was kind of like that defensive inside presence, just guarding the hoop. He had a couple nice blocks, but like Matt said, his 3-point shooting was absolutely unreal. I mean, he was just like crossing half court, just getting the ball and just absolutely draining them from deep. They were just absolutely flowing in for him. I mean, and I was talking to him after the game and him just being like, he was kind of nervous about playing on these 8.5-foot rims. He's never done that, but he's kind of worried about shooting, especially with his size, but he was able to knock them down. But I really thought they were really all around balanced. I thought Brad Allen was also really pivotal. He's obviously used to playing in the Legacy League. Mm-hmm. So for him to, get a couple offensive rebounds, and him and Theo Joseph combined for like 7 offensive rebounds. And I think the Shady Dunkers only had about 8 rebounds as a team. So that was really kind of what separated the teams overall. I thought the Stampede, really showed what they were all about. And I think they're a really solid team, both inside and outside. So I think they're going to play a big role in the league this year.
Yeah, the Shady Dunkers were a fun team to watch. They had a lot of energy right off the beginning tip-off. They're moving the ball well, getting those extra passes and getting to the rim. But I felt like they had some struggles as the game progressed. Once the Stampede really got rolling with their 3-pointers, I think that hit Shady Dunkers, kind of took a morale away. But I see they were eventually able to bring it back.
Yeah, and, you talked about John Peterson after the game, right? And he's like, yeah, I was worried about shooting. It's like, well, if you're going to shoot 7 for 10 and be worried about shooting, I mean, that's a pretty good thing to be worried about. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I mean, I would have took 7 for 10 yesterday. That's for sure. We'll move on. So we have, a couple wider margin games. Let's start with the defending champs and Lob City as they take down the Bucket Chasers. So by 20, even though the Bucket Chasers weren't in the league last year, they are a team that's familiar with what they need to do on the court there. We can kind of keep it a little shorter because I do want to do some stuff at the end, but mainly just about Lob City and your guys' first impression about them.
Lob City, I could tell they were definitely like 4-time champs coming into this. They have a lot of chemistry together in terms of how they play and their style. And you can see the way they controlled the game and controlled each one of their possessions, from getting to the free throw line and playing at their pace, pushing it when they need to off steals, and then being able to slow it down and play half court.
Yeah, go ahead, Shane. Anything else?
Yeah, I think obviously Bucket Chasers really kind of let it get away early in the first quarter. Lob City really got out fast and took that lead. And I think, really showed why they're the defending champions, and Nuri Mahmoud inside. I think he's such a big presence inside. And then, I mean, Cody Crawford, obviously a tremendous shooter, and he actually had an off shooting night, but he still led the team in scoring with 23 points. So that's really scary to consider. And I know a guy told me before that they were probably going to win by 100. Obviously they didn't, but they showed why they're a very good team.
Yeah, and they return a lot of the same pieces, kind of like we talked about in that interview after the game with them. That core's there, and they're definitely the team to beat. One of the teams that may be able to compete with them, Boom Shakalaka, wins by, I'm not great at math, 32, I believe, 86-54. But it was their new addition. They bragged about him on Twitter before the game, Jose Mercado, and he was dunking all over the place. And so I know it's going to be mainly about him, but what did Boom Shakalaka show you in week 1?
Yeah, so like you pointed out, Jose put on an absolute clinic. He couldn't miss. I think his shooting percentage was like in the 90s or something crazy like that.
Let's take a look. Yeah.
It was just
94%.
something ridiculous.
Yeah. 16 for 17.
There we go.
He was getting good looks, but it was also he had another teammate who dropped he dropped 9 dimes to him. So that was huge too. Got a lot of ball movement with them. So it wasn't really just him, despite the fact that he was the one who showed up the most on the scoreboard. It was a lot of different players factoring in.
Yeah, Lucas Martin was grabbing rebounds, running the break, and literally just throwing it up to Jose. Could throw it like anywhere, maybe like 15 feet within the area of the rim, and Jose was going to throw it down. I swear his knees were above the rim. So right now he's looking like a dark horse MVP candidate. He was unbelievable last night. Definitely a few top 10 plays this week, I bet.
Yeah, for sure. And Lucas Martin's one of those really good shooters. He usually wears 00. Just wanted on the record, it was his captain who screwed him out of a 0. So he shows up to the gym. He's like, "Where's my other 0?" on his jersey, and he's all walking around looking for the second 0. But Lucas Martin's a really good shooter and is really, really smart. And when you give him a weapon like Jose Mercado, they're going to be hard to beat as well. Island time, a new team. So that's one way to come into the league as a new team. 2 new teams faced off in Good U and the Ozone Boys. Good U taking care of business. Brad Van Feckman, who used to be on Lob City, got his own team. And so that may be why some of them were more, ready to go than other new teams. What'd you guys see from Good U?
Right off the beginning tip-off, Ozone Boys actually took the momentum, but quickly to the second quarter, Good U really took control and then went on the whole game with that. I saw Brendan Degnan really get into the rim. He shot 80%, 8 for 10. It seemed like every time he touched the ball, he's either dunking it or getting himself a layup or getting to the free throw line.
Yeah, I was really impressed with how Good U performed. Obviously, kind of a tough first half for them with Ozone Boys taking the lead into the halftime break, but ultimately Good U really put on a defensive clinic in the second half. I think they only gave up 16 points, I think, in the second half, which is just crazy that they did that. And then Brendan Degnan and Matt St. Hours scored 19, and then Brad Van Fetchman had 17. So I think they really had like strong scoring combined, and obviously with their tremendous defense. And obviously Ozone Boys just really kind of top heavy with Luke Hogan and Patrick Hogan both combined to score like 40 of the team's 56 points. So that's really just not going to get it done when you're only having 2 players contributing over half the team's points. So Good U looked really solid in their first game.
Yeah, very balanced for Good U, which we'll see if they can keep that up. That's a weapon in itself, if you can get some balanced scoring. The last game of the night, which kicked off the night on court 1, the Boston Blazers and Basket Hounds. Blazers win big, and I use the word big on purpose. They flexed, with their size early, and then really never looked back. I'll let you guys break it down. But the Blazers, just to kind of set it up, are a team from last season that they brought 6 or 7 of the guys back. I mean, everybody but one guy is back. They played together before, and I think it showed.
It definitely showed. I think experience is what won the game for them. When I initially looked at the matchup, just the eye test, I thought, wow, Blazers might win this by 50. And then, I got to give the Hounds some respect. They really came out and they played tough. They made it the best matchup they could. They're definitely younger. They're a lot smaller. The Blazers are huge. I mean, they're really good. And I got to shout out Aid Bright with the immaculate game. 10 for 10 from the field, 4 for 4 from the free throw line, no turnovers. He was unbelievable.
Yep, and he's one of their big slashers. Yeah, Fox, what'd you see, in your first impression?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously that size is a huge factor, but I was impressed with the other team's ability to get some shots off, even though they were a few feet off the 3-point line. Even they were able to pull up and hit some. So I wouldn't sleep on them just yet.
Yeah, for sure. And as I get out of this screen share, we're going to do some stuff. Here we go. To wrap it up. So those are the 7 games. We have our winners are the Boston Blazers, Good U, Boom Shakalaka, Lob City, Stampede, Werewolves, and Goodfellas. Guys, you can pick any team. What's your one takeaway? The thing you're most interested in going forward, the team you're now the biggest fan of, maybe even driving the bandwagon. What stood out to you from week 1? We will go with Shane first.
I think I'm going to go with Good U. I think I was really impressed with their performance. Obviously, trailing at halftime and then to come back and only give up 7 points in the third quarter and then 9 in the fourth quarter to really shut down Ozone Boys. I thought that was really impressive on their part and really showed their, obviously being a new team, but they were really able to prove their dominance and stake their claim as, one of the early contenders emerging so far with their balanced scoring and defense.
Yeah, for sure. Matt?
I'm going to might hop on the bandwagon here, but Lob City really just showed to me they played a whole team all around game, having 4 people all in the double digits scoring. And the way they move the ball, I felt like I was watching real good basketball there.
For sure. Fox?
So, I mean, Boom Shakalaka just taking over with Jose being able to just score at will. I don't see any reason they can't do that against most of the other teams in the league.
And Christian?
I talk about the Goodfellas, but they already know what I think about their performance. I'd have to go with the Werewolves. Just their heart to come back in the game and their toughness, grittiness, clutchness. I got to respect that. I think they've been there, they've done that, so they can definitely carry that along throughout the season.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad we got one super close game. Overtime is always fun, and reminiscent of the finals from a year ago that a lot of you guys saw. When we first met, show you how that game ended and just how battle tested that team is. I mean, I think it's going to be a theme for that season. But again, I mean, Dave Campbell was yelling around the court, "I'm here for the playoffs!" Like none of this matters, like all that kind of stuff. And of course, he ends up hitting the shot that forces overtime and gets them to 1-0. Guys, a great first week. Very, very good job. And we'll see everyone back for week 2. So coming up this week, we do have power rankings, top plays, 2-minute drill. And articles for all the games are already up on the site, thelegacyleagues.com. For the guys, I'm Joey. We'll see you next week after week 2.